Right, St. Louis. I'd like to say good morning. St. Louis, Chi-Town, Alabama, Georgia, New York, the Bahamas, Oregon, Florida. The question we must begin to ask ourselves, what is truth? What is truth? Many of you might believe that you know what truth is, but my question to you is, how can you know what truth is and you haven't reached a perfected mind? In other words, many die before they reach perfection. Born, then the grave, 80, 90 years of life expectancy. But the question is, what is truth? If the universe was formed 13.8 billion years ago, but yet humanity or the human species is so much less, how could we have reached perfection to know that we didn't know? I mean, this is one of those things in which I believe that most historians and intellectuals can't seem to wrap their mind around and understand why they can't understand. I'm one to believe the reason we have not reached a level of understanding is because we possess not the power to encode the information which will enable us to understand. But the question you must ask yourself, where is the information? Many of you are thinking the information is outside you. But I'm one to believe that's not true. Many of you see the birds flying, the stars and the moon, trees. You see your loved ones visibly. You get in your car, you're driving down the road, you see an accident, you see a policeman, you see the firemen putting out fires. But the question is, what is truth and where is truth? Or what are you actually seeing? Many say, well, I have eyes, I can see. No, you don't have a clue yet that you don't have a clue because you lack the ability to pierce beyond the distorted view of the truth. I'm one to believe that everything that you're seeing is within you. And as a result of what's within you, it's a reflection of what's outside you. In other words, if your mind is not strong enough, you're not going to see the deeper parts of what's within you. In other words, if you're dealing with sound, say for instance, they say the universe or the world itself is a matrix. In other words, you're dealing with different vibrational strings or different levels of density. And everything that you see, touch, taste, smell, and hear is being encoded at the molecular subatomic level, but it becomes form at in the fabric of space and time. But what happens if your mind is not strong enough to really see the entire picture? If your mind is not strong enough, you're not going to leave the system in which you're currently dwelling, which is going to allow you to believe something that's not true. However, that will be your truth because you can't think beyond the level of your inability to understand that you don't understand. I want to believe that from religion to synapses to everything that we named it, was formed based upon an untruth. In other words, the mind hadn't completely reached the higher level of awareness to know that it didn't know. So as a result, it had not the ability to formulate the question to ask whether it was right or wrong because it couldn't even think or whether or not it knew what it needed to know in order to understand it didn't know. In no way am I trying to be all philosophical and deep. I'm trying to get us to understand that we're perishing and we're dying from various infirmities, from Parkinson's, to heart disease, to strokes, to cancer, liver disease, and all these different forms of infirmities is because we hadn't reached the power necessary to break us free from a distorted view of deception. Many of you believe that when Jesus come back, Muhammad, Buddha, whatever you want to name, come back, or you may believe that based upon Jesus dying on the cross and a rising from the tomb that you're free. The question you must begin to ask yourself, is that a parable? Is that an allegory? Or do we have the ability to see it as it truly is based upon our inability to understand that we don't understand because we lack the knowledge to even encode at the molecular subatomic level to be able to create form outside the fabric of space and time? I'm going to believe that everything that you see, touch, taste, smell, and hear is in your mind. And yet you're seeing an actual reflection of what's within you. But yet your mind is so undeveloped, you can't see beyond the level of undevelopment. So as a result, you're perishing. That's where they came up with the laws of thermodynamics. Entropy increases chaos and disorder. Continuous chaos and disorder. In other words, born, then the grave. You're working all day, 20 years of retirement, then you subsequently start losing your mind with Alzheimer's dementia based upon plague. Have you ever wondered why that occurs? Why do people get Alzheimer's dementia? You said because they get old. No, they're not getting old. They're losing their sound. They're losing the power that they possess. So as a result, they can't understand and process the information fast enough to know. Subsequently, they don't even know how to do the things they once did because they don't have the power to do it. That tells me, as a child, they have a significant amount of power to be able to do those things. As they get older, they're decaying, and subsequently now they're in the grave. What happens if we're going the wrong way as a child? We're going the wrong way. What happens if we're going the wrong way? The arrow of time goes one way towards the grave, but yet what happens if we stop time and we would cause the electrons all around us to stop, and as a result we'll see the world as it truly is. We'll create a vacuum right down here on earth, but that vacuum itself must be created in your mind. You must stop the storm. Many of you don't understand what I'm saying. And the reason you don't understand what I'm saying is because in order to understand, you have to reach a level of power to understand it, because without the power, you're not going to be able to process it. It's no different than a computer. In other words, if you have an analog computer can't do something that a super quantum computer can do because it lacks the power. Think about 5G. In other words, without 5G, you're not going to be able to send digital pictures to another phone via wireless. Without 5G, you can't do it. Analog, you can't do it. It's not enough power. It's not enough bandwidth. So the reason I'm coming on now is to get you to understand we're living in deception. We're going the wrong way. And we've been living this way since the mind itself was developed. In other words, it never reached the level of development. So as a result, we have wars and rumors of wars. We have countries fighting countries. And the reason these countries are fighting each other is because everyone's selfish and self-centered. It's about me. It's about what I want. It's lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. That's what it's all about. But it's not the person. It's inability to understand that it doesn't understand, because once it reaches a level of power to understand, it wouldn't be about self. It would understand that it's one with all there is. It has nothing to do with black, white, Asian, Hispanic. It has nothing to do with whether or not, Russia's against us or we're against Russia, Ukraine, China, Japan, Russia, etc., Europe, Asia, Africa. We would all be one. We wouldn't have continents. We wouldn't have countries. We would have one civilization of spirit. And as a result of having that particular spirit, we will all be going towards 13.8 billion years. And as a result, we will become the truth. When they see you, they're seeing a new creation. And that's what we must seek to attain. Quite sure a lot of you understand and having a good time backing that thing up, acting a damn fool, but yet you fail to realize the more you act a damn fool and back that thing up, the more you're losing power, even though it may feel good. Just a matter of time before your neurons, synapses stop operating accordingly. And as a result, you'll remember that was someone trying to teach you something, but yet you failed to accept and acknowledge it because you were out for your own devices based upon a reprobated mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Seek ye first the mind, and then you'll understand that you never understood. But now, once you understand that, you would have understood that you became what you've been seeking to find, and that's the truth. I pray that you all wake up in this season, because if not, nothing's going to change. The path in which you are on will continue down a road of destruction unless you come to your senses and become who you were predestined to become, and that's one with the truth. Have a good day.